Hello and welcome to the Ditton Works YouTube channel, where today I'm going to conclude my findings, my thoughts, my frustrations and my review of the Falcon Acoustics LS3 Gold Badge versus the LS3 Silver Badge. This channel started because Signals Hi-Fi were kind enough to loan me a pair of Gold Badge about 8 months ago for me to do a review, which I was over the moon. I mean, given the chance to listen to a pair of speakers in your own environment is just brilliant. That's exactly what you want to do. And doing the video kick-started this channel, which has led on to many different reviews of speakers, and I've really enjoyed doing it, to be honest with you. However, the system I was using to originally review the LS3 Gold Badge was my Air Studios Pioneer setup, which I really rated. I thought it was a good system. I enjoyed listening to that, but I didn't think it was high enough quality to really do justice to the LS3 Gold Badge. Now, LS3 as a rule are not a difficult speaker to run. They aren't particularly demanding, but they do enjoy an amp with quite a lot of current. And my Meridian certainly provides that. So I thought it would be interesting to have another shot at reviewing the Gold Badge because my setup has improved. I'll be able to analyse what they're doing a lot more accurately. Also, because I own a pair of silvers, I wanted to really hear what the difference between the gold and the silver was. We'll discuss that in a minute, but first let's talk about the differences between the Gold Badge and the Silver Badge. So when Falcon Acoustics started producing LS3 they were all Silver Badge. And the Silver Badge is basically as accurate as you can get to the BBC spec of the production line, the production models, the other ones that were out there. And the reason I'm mentioning that is the original BBC spec ones built at Kingswood Warren would have had slightly better components in them that were possibly too expensive to mass produce. So when the first lot of 15 ohm variants came out, the inductors were slightly smaller, still well within spec, still getting you as near as damn it, but were slightly cheaper to produce. And that's what I think you've got with the LS3 Silver Badge. You've got completely and utterly to the letter BBC spec. Cabinets are right, drivers are right, crossovers are right, dampening's right, internal foam's right, everything is to the letter completely right. And that's why the LS3 Silver Badge from Falcon sound tremendous. They are probably got to be one of the best ones out there because they're brand new. You haven't got to worry about wandering specification of the capacitors. You haven't got to worry about the degrading of the drivers. A lot of people get really antsy about this white belly business, and actually the white belly is a fault in the manufacturing process of the B110. I'm not saying they don't sound good, but they don't sound really as they should, which is quite important. So the Silver Badge is as near as can be up-to-date version of the production models that all the licensee holders built throughout the history of the LS3 The Gold Badge is a slightly different story. Now, Falcon Acoustics produced a very limited number of ultra-high spec Kingswood Warren editions, which were to the letter, to the absolute nuance of detail, as close as could be to the original BBC Kingswood Warren designed 20 odd pairs. Now, the reason there was only a limited run of those is the cost of the components, the availability of the components was very, very difficult to put that into production. So there was only a limited run of those. With the Gold Badge, you're getting closer to that spec than you were with the Silver Badge, but it's still manufacturable. It's still available to mass produce, if you like. So the Gold Badge has become the standard now. There are no more Silver Badge. You can buy the Gold Badge crossover upgrade from Falcon Acoustics, which retails somewhere just over £400. And unfortunately, Falcon don't trade in the old crossover anymore. I was a little bit disappointed to find that out. They used to trade it in. So you could trade in your old Silver Badge and pay a little bit to get the gold badge to update your LS3 They don't offer that anymore, which I can understand why, but it's mildly frustrating to me, and probably would be to any silver badge owners, that the only way you can update yours is to just flat out buy the gold crossover. And what do you do with the silver one? Well, I have thought about this. There is an outlet for that. So Falcon Acoustics also do a kit speaker called the Q7, which you can buy in standard form, which has got iron core inductors, and you can upgrade that to the gold badge crossover. Well, if I upgraded these to the gold badge, I could sell my silver badge crossovers potentially on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or something like that to somebody who was potentially wanting to upgrade or build a Q7. Or another outlet is if somebody had a pair of LS3 with way out of spec crossovers, particularly 15 ohm ones, have to be 15 ohm ones, they could buy the Falcon Acoustics silver badge crossovers to update their old Rogers or any of them, any of the 15 ohm ones. So there is an outlet for it, but it was mildly frustrating to me that basically it meant the only way I could update these was to just pay the full price for that gold badge crossover. So what everybody's probably dying to hear is, what is the difference in sound quality between the two? Well, it's uncanny. I honestly can't believe the difference. When I first got these from Signals have kindly lent me these gold badge LS3 I thought, okay, there's more detail, that's pretty obvious, but I felt the bass on my silvers was slightly better. However, I've been running these in all week. They have been constantly playing since I did my first video last week, so they are pretty run in now. And upon switching between the two speakers, after about 3 tracks of gold, I play the same 3 tracks of silver. There is a monumental difference between the two, and I'll try and explain it. The level of detail in the HF on the gold badge is significant. And it's not that the HF is just further forward, it's far more complicated than that. They're just cleaner, much cleaner in the HF. The spacing around the instruments is more defined. These were never confused, my silver badge. They sound great, but the gold badge just place the instruments in space a lot better than my silvers do. Some people have claimed that the gold badges have more bass. That is not true in my opinion. The level of bass is exactly the same as my silvers, but it's the quality of the bass. So if it's a bass guitar, you're hearing the plucking of the string as well as the resonance of the string, as where on the silvers it's more like the plucking's there, but you don't hear it as well. The resonance you do hear. And I'm not going to poo-poo the silver badge. I think they sound fantastic. But the gold badge is just a lot cleaner in every part of the frequency range. Any instrument you put on there, anything you play, you're just getting much more definition. You're able to pick out the instruments, you're able to pick out the placement, and strangely, and this is a strange one, even the imaging is better. And that baffled me, forgiving the pun. Yeah, the baffles are the same, the drive units are the same, the felt around the tweeter's the same, everything's the same. It's just the crossover, but somehow that affects the imaging, the sound stage, and makes it more immersive. I listen to these in quite a near field position, which really is what the LS3 was designed for, and you are just immersed in the sound. Only one negative I could find, when I played Diana Krall, Peel Me a Grape, there's a little bit of sibilance on her voice, on the microphone, and that's much more obvious on the gold badge in an almost distracting way. And that's nothing to do with the speakers, that's the way that track was recorded. And I do love all of her stuff, but that particular track, the way that's recorded, and my good friend would say something like, my word, you can hear her teeth. Well, you can, but it's a little bit distracting because there's almost too much detail on that particular track. On that track, I actually prefer my silvers. But play anything else, absolutely anything else. I mean, my friend Ed advised, one of his favourite tracks is Janice Ian's Tattoo, a live recording, and that is just phenomenal on the gold badge. It is phenomenal. So in a nutshell, basically, apart from the mildly frustrating fact that Falcon won't trade in the crossover anymore, and I can understand why they don't, I would say buying the upgrade crossover is a must, and I'm going to have to do it. I will do it after Christmas. But the frustrating part is, what do I do with the silver crossovers? What do I just chuck them in a box and leave them in the drawer? Would I buy the Q7 kit and fit them in? Personally, I wouldn't, because I haven't got any need for it. But somebody out there who's either rebuilding a pair of LS3 5As or building that kit would benefit greatly from the silver badge crossover upgrade. They'd benefit even more if they used the gold one, but sometimes it does come down to a cost. So in a nutshell, I'm gonna put it like this. It's still viable for me to do the crossover upgrade because I bought my silver badge used, so they were cheaper. So even with the gold badge upgrade, they're not going to cost me as much as buying a new set of golds. But if anybody's thinking about buying LS3 5As, you could look at second-hand silvers with the intention of upgrading, but your best bet is to just go out and buy a pair of golds straight away, because my goodness, there is an enormous difference. I'll try and do some recordings so you guys can hear the difference, but one thing I've found with LS3 5As and this phone, it doesn't pick them up very well. I don't know why it is, something about the way they project the mid-band frequencies. The microphone just does an awful job of picking up the rest of the spectrum of sound. So I'll try, but if I'm not happy with it, I won't be posting that out on YouTube, because it's not going to give you guys the right impression of these speakers. So ultimately, the LS3 5A gold badge does just sound better, and there was only one instance in which I preferred my silver badge, and for the sake of one track, I wouldn't leave them as silver badge. I would do the upgrade. So that's the Ditton Works review today. You may be disappointed with my findings. You maybe think, well, I knew he was going to say that. You may disagree with some of the things I said. It's all very subjective, but in my opinion, the difference between the two variants was so vast that I would have to do it, because what you want from an LS3 5A is to tap into the amazing minds that designed it in the first place, the BBC. They spent an enormous amount of money on research and development that no other speaker company could even compete with then, let alone now. So why wouldn't you want as near as damn it to what the BBC wanted them to sound like? And I think to be able to mass produce them and make them available for everybody to buy, the only real way you can achieve that is with the gold ones. That's the Ditton Works review on the LS3 5A from Falcon Acoustics, silver versus gold. Take care, guys. I'll catch up with you soon. Oh, I've got to say a massive thanks to Signals Hi-Fi for twice lending me gold badge edition LS3 5As, and my silvers came from them as well. So absolutely phenomenal shop. They cater for an enormous variety of musical tastes, musical equipment, right from BBC style speakers up to enormous pairs of ATCs or Dyne Audios. They're well worth checking out. Check out the website and just enjoy the range of stuff that they do. So huge thanks to Signals Hi-Fi for allowing me to listen to these again. And damn you, Signals Hi-Fi, for making me want to upgrade mine. Take care, guys. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
It's called Tattoo. Her new name was tattooed to her wrist. It was longer than the old one, sealed in the silence with a fist. This night will be cold. Centuries live in her eyes. Destiny laughs over jackbooted thighs. Work makes us free, says the sign. Nothing leaves here alive. She steps out of line to the left and her father to the right. One side's a cold, clean death, the other is an endless night. Gold from a grandmother's tooth, mountains of jewelry and toys, piled in the corners, mailed across the borders, presents for the girls and boys, presents for the girls and boys, tattoo. And it gets darker every night, spread eagled out among the stars. She says, somewhere in this tunnel lives a light, still my beating heart. I have never known a man, and what man will want me now? Am I still alive somehow? If I can survive somehow, tattoo. Soldiers from the other side liberated them at dawn. Gave her water, gave her life, still had all her clothes on. She lived until she died, empty as the autumn leaves that fly. Surgeons took the mark, but they could not take it far. It was written on her heart, written on her empty heart, tattooed. It's called Tattoo. Her new name was tattooed to her wrist. It was longer than the old one. Sealed in the silence with a fist, this night will be cold one. Centuries live in her eyes. Destiny laughs over jackbooted thighs. Work makes us free, says the sign. Nothing leaves here alive. Tattoo. She She steps out of line to the left and her father to the right. One side's a cold, clean death, the other is an endless night. Gold from a grandmother's tooth, mountains of jewelry and toys, piled in the corners, mailed across the borders, presents for the girls and boys, presents for the girls and boys, tattooed. And it gets darker every night. Spread eagled out among the stars, she says, somewhere in this tunnel lives a light, still my beating heart. I have never known a man, and what man will want me now? Am I still alive somehow? If I can survive somehow, tattooed. Soldiers from the other side liberated them at dawn. Gave her water, gave her life, still had all her clothes on. She lived until she died, empty as the autumn leaves that fly. Surgeons took the mark, but they could not take it far. It was written